This is Zach Clark, Development and Leadership Coaching, and I want to work with you today on a process that you can use that's going to help you shift from being busy to being effective. How do you flip the switch when you're overwhelmed, anxious, with way too many things to do? How do you flip the switch and make that shift from being busy to being effective? Now, this is something that I struggle with in my own life. I think that every leader does. There are so many things to do, and we can get caught up in just being from one thing to the next, one event to the next, one meeting to the next, one task after another, and suddenly you stop and you take a breath and you say, gosh, I am so busy, but am I really doing the things that are so critically important for me to do that are going to move our organization forward? Or am I just busy? Am I doing the things that are critically important that only that I can do that are actually going to move us forward toward the vision that we have for impacting people's lives? Now, so I know I struggle with this. You may struggle with this. I know that many of the leaders that we serve struggle with this. So we actually have a process that we walk leaders through when they're getting to that place of feeling stuck, feeling overwhelmed, feeling anxious, feeling constantly busy, but really beginning to wonder if they are being as effective as they should be. So I'm going to walk you through that process. I've actually got on my board here where I just did this recently with a leader that we work with through our one-to-one development and leadership coaching approach. But before I do that, I do want to encourage you. All right, I have found that there are a couple of reasons why we can often get stuck and feel this sense of overwhelm and busyness and doubt about whether or not we're being as effective as we should be. Now, one of those scenarios is you just have a gazillion things to do and you're feeling stressed and anxious and you're not organized and you aren't on top of anything and you haven't got a clear sense of what you're supposed to be doing. That is a very real scenario that we can face, and there are ways that we can help people move through that. But oftentimes the scenario is this: you've gotten better as a leader in planning and looking ahead. You've gotten a clearer sense of where you want to head. You have some strategies in place that you're really trying to consistently work out. And as you've improved in that aspect of your leadership, coming with that is this greater sense of feeling overwhelmed or busy or wondering if you're really focusing on those things that you should be. So it's a byproduct. The better we get oftentimes at planning and clarity on our role, there can be this byproduct of being overwhelmed and anxious about all there is to do. So this process in both those scenarios, but particularly when you are doing better in planning, this process can help you big time. So I'm going to walk you through this real quick. All right, so the first thing that we do is we start out by clarifying or recommitting to the key areas of contribution that you have as a leader. So in this leader's case, I said, hey, let's go back here. Let's make sure that you're clear on this. Let's make sure that you've got these where you know what they are. What are your key areas of contribution as a leader? The 3, 4, 5 things that really only you can do, or that you're ultimately the most responsible for in your organization. And in this case, real quick off the top of his head, thankfully he had these. He just needed to refocus on those. So first in his case was vision, mission, values. You're probably going to relate to some of these on this list. You know, vision, where we're going, what is the impact that we're trying to have on a life. Mission, which is who we serve and how we serve them, what we do. Values, which is our organization at its best that the leader really needs to embody. So very much at the top of this leader's list. Second, financial health. While there are a lot of people involved in that in terms of growing giving or growing revenue or the program, ultimately this leader knows he is ultimately responsible for the financial health of the organization. Next on his list was shepherding staff and board, and that takes time. That's people-oriented work. Huge area of focus for him. Next, the one we often forget. In fact, it took this leader a while of head scratching to get this clear. Self-leadership. before we can lead others well, are we leading ourselves well? Are we healthy? Are we focused on the things that we should? How are we doing spiritually? How are we doing with our time? How are we doing with our areas of strength and weakness? If you are not leading yourself well first, you are not going to be able to lead these others well. And I don't know about you, but oftentimes this feels selfish to me. But if I can step back and look at it from the perspective of I have to be strong and ready and healthy to be able to do for others what I'm really called to do. And then lastly, thinking and planning, which is a time-intensive work that no one else in the organization is going to do. Very few people in your organization are going to go to bed tonight thinking and planning about where this organization is going to go. So this is a key area of contribution as well. So sorry, I knocked some papers over there. So next on this filter, we've got these clear and identified, right? We're going to filter this now and say, okay, in the next 6 weeks, we're going to do a 6 by 6. In the next 6 weeks, what are the 6 key areas of contribution for you to make as a leader on the organization? That if you don't get these 6 things done, these 6 big areas of focus accomplished, we are not going to be moving forward in the next 6 weeks like we really hope to. So that's that concept of a 6 by 6. But having a 6 by 6 isn't enough. Once you've got it clear, you have to budget the time to actually work on those things. So this is not your daily things. These are the 6 big projects that you want to move forward on, contribute to, see happen, and you've got to budget the time. And I find that's best that you chunk the time. You got to chunk 90 minutes usually of focused attention on these things at any point that you're working on it. So are you chunking your time? So you get your areas of focus clear. You use your 6 by 6 to break this down to the 6 biggest areas that you must move forward on in the next 6 weeks. And then you've got to budget your time on the calendar. You've got to chunk the time and hold it to be able to know that in the next 6 weeks you've allotted the time to work on this. Now, this is where most people stop if they're doing this at all. But I'm going to take it further. These next 2 filters are key. So next, we're going to take the long list of things that you're doing, not on your 6 by 6, but all the stuff that's making you feel busy and overwhelmed. And we're going to create 3 different lists. So we're going to say, okay, what of these things that I'm feeling overwhelmed and I have all these things to do, what can be automated? What can be delegated? And what can be eliminated? Now, automated is something that I would think nowadays people would be real quick to try to do. But it involves technology, it involves working with other people, it involves making checklists, right? And so we just go, it's too much work. But if you are doing something more than once, frequently, if you find yourself doing this activity more than once on a regular basis, that is a candidate for automation, I promise you. So really identify those areas. Delegation is not the idea of taking your job and giving it to someone else. It's saying, okay, of all these things that I'm trying to move forward, what is it that I want to equip other people to do? What is it that I and only I need to be doing? And then what is it that others can be doing, maybe even better than I can do? That's delegation. And then elimination. This is the one that most people just want to skip over. Are there things on your list that you can eliminate? And the answer is yes. I guarantee you, if you look over the past 6 weeks, what you're going to find is there are things that you have already decided to not do. They're still on your list causing you stress, but they haven't been done. They may not have been done in months. We need to go ahead and own that reality. They're not getting done, and let's just eliminate them. Let's either get it done or let's eliminate it. I've got things like that on my list every time I look at it. Eliminate. And then the other aspect of elimination is taking it one step further to the point of pain. There's some things on your list that you would like to get done that you feel like would be positive, but the reality is we need to eliminate this from our lives. We need to eliminate this from our list of things to do. It is good, but it's not the best. Let's eliminate it to the point of pain. That's how you know when you're eliminating at the right level. And then last filter, again, this is kind of like a funnel. Last filter ABC. Now, some people prioritize ABC like importance. That's not what this is. What I want to see you do is take the tasks that you have, the things coming your way, the requests for meetings, and break this into 3 simple groups. And these are things that I have to get done, that I have to address in the next 2 weeks. B, the next 6 weeks. C, the next 6 months. And this will free up the way you emotionally work through each day, because you're deciding, is this 2-week window, 6-week window, 6-month window? And the more you can help other people understand this is the way you're doing things, the better you'll be at this as well. Here's what I see all the time. People just focus on the next 2 weeks. In fact, research backs this up. Everything is next 2 weeks, next 2 weeks. Get clear on what must be done in the next 2 weeks, and then let's look 6 weeks and 6 months out and use that as our scheduling window for our tasks, okay? So simple process starts at the highest levels of contribution and filters all the way down 6 by 6, the details of automating, delegating, eliminating, and then the tasks that we're actually going to do, we use these different horizons of time. This process is proven. It will make a huge difference, and I'd love to see what you do with it. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.